Today we're going to talk about vellum. I've got 5 different techniques on how to use vellum and of course the magic way to adhere vellum so you don't see the glue. Let's get to it. This is one of my most favorite ways to use vellum, and that's to create a reflection. So I've got this 40-pound vellum, and I'll show it again a bit later on in the video. I also have it in gold, and I'm going to stamp a couple of deer from a stamp set. I'll show you a little bit later on too, but any image you want. I'm just focusing on animals. So I'm going to stamp it with some black ink, and I'm going to go ahead and heat set it. Now this is very thick vellum. This is 40-pound vellum. So I'm able to very easily do heat setting just by constantly moving my heat tool, and I also let my heat tool heat up for about 30 seconds before I take it to the vellum. If you have very thin vellum, I'm not sure this will work for you. It might crinkle up a lot easier than this thick vellum, so that's why I highly encourage you to invest in at least 40-pound vellum. You can get a whole pack, it'll last you a lifetime. So now that I've gone ahead and heat set that, I'm going to color the deer. This is an alcohol marker, Copic marker. I only have like 5 left in my stash. I'm surprised it even has ink in it because I don't know how to Copic color, but I sure can take a marker and scribble all over some vellum. So you don't need no talent for that. So I'm just giving the deer a little bit of color. I'm working on the front side of the vellum here. And then because that's an alcohol marker, I can flick on a little isopropyl alcohol. That's how you say it. And it's going to create these little water splots or alcohol splots or whatever you want to call them. But it's making it look like water. So I did all that on the front side of the vellum because we're going to create a reflection. So I'm flipping it over. That's it. Just flip it over. And then you can see I've already went ahead and stamped, colored, and die cut the coordinating deer. It has a die cut and stamp set. It goes together. So I went ahead and did all that as prep for this, and I'm going to create a little card base here real quick. So I'm just going to do some very simple ink blending with a couple of different colors onto some white cardstock. I want to take a quick second to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online classes. When I found Skillshare, I went in specifically looking for watercoloring classes, and I cannot begin to tell you how much I have learned just from that. But Skillshare is not only watercoloring, it's anything you can think of: social media, business development, cooking, I mean, all kinds of stuff. If you can think of something, it's going to be on Skillshare. Here's a look at some of the pieces that I have painted just from learning various tips and tricks from some different artists that I have followed along the way. If you check the description below, I have included a discount code where you can try out Skillshare for yourself for free for 1 month. So be sure to check it out. Just click the link in the description below and you can see why I love it so much. So I'm finishing up my ink blending. I did pink, orange, and blue. Just at the top, that's all I needed to focus on. And now I can go ahead and start assembling the card here. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut down my vellum. You could actually do a whole entire panel of vellum and then just create an overlay, which I'll show you in the next tip on using vellum. But here I just cut off the little strip here, and I'm focusing on the bottom of the card, which is my water, which is my reflection. And here is the magic way to adhere your vellum. This is double-sided tape from scrapbook.com. It comes in different widths. This is actually 4-inch width, which is perfect for card panels that I make. So I just stick it on the back side of the vellum, peel off the liner, and bada bang, bada boom. You cannot see that glue. It is magic. I'll give you another close-up of that roll in just a minute. And now I'll go ahead and stick on my deer. I already put some double-sided foam tape on the back. You don't have to pop it up. I just thought it would be fun. You can glue it flat down if you want to. And now you can see like the reflection, if you will, of the deer. So then we can finish off making the card. I'm going to add some water droplets to the top of the card as well because the ink that I used is water reactive. It kind of goes with the water look at the bottom. And here's kind of a close-up of that card there. Anything can be a reflection. It does not have to be an animal. So take a look at what you have in your stash and give this a go. In another video, I created this card. It's a wolf card, and this was using the same exact technique of the reflection. And you can see the difference here, and it was super popular, so I thought I would include it again in today's video in case you missed it. It also shows that you can stamp directly to your cardstock and not have to use the die cut and get a very cool look as well. I'll link to this vellum video up in the right-hand corner for you. All right, you can do something called I'm calling an outer glow, and I actually have some gold vellum here. You can use regular vellum, and you can simply color it by coloring on the back side with an alcohol marker or an ink pad or something like that. But this is gold vellum. I have no idea where I got it from, but I've got this die cut that actually cuts the shadow and the word die so I can pair it together. It's from the stamp market. I'll link it below in the description if you want to take a look at it. And it's just creating this very nice subtle glow. It's different than cardstock because vellum is transparent. So it gives this cool little glow look, if you will. But again, if you don't have colored vellum, you don't need it. You can simply coloring it with alcohol markers, dye inks. I show a couple ways to color it in the video. I'll also include that video in the description below about vellum as well. But that just creates this really cool outer glow look, I'm calling it, or a shadow, or whatever you want to call it. So I just think this card is super cool, and the vellum really pulls everything together. You can also use vellum as an overlay. I make a bunch of backgrounds at one time, and sometimes I don't like them. And this one was actually made with shaving cream, and I have a video all about how to use shaving cream in your cards, so I'll link that up here in the right hand corner in the description below. But anyway, you can just kind of create, it softens it, if you will, just by adding vellum over the top. So this is the magic way that I adhere vellum. It's this double-sided tape from scrapbook.com. They have different widths. I have the 4-inch. I usually make 4.25 by 5.5 inch cards, so this is perfect. So you just put the thing on the back side of your vellum, peel off the lining paper, and then you're good to go. You do not see this glue. It is magic. It is invisible, whatever. But now I've just softened this background that was a little bit too much in your face. And then I had this butterfly and a circle in my magic mug, and that's how I pulled this card together. If you don't know what my magic mug is, I talk about it in my card saving hack video, which I will link up here in the right hand corner and also in the description below for you. Window or shaker cards. I don't make a lot of shaker cards because I'm super lazy, but I'm going to do it here. So this I already had. It was in my magic mug. That's where I got the circle from the last card, the butterfly card. So I've got a piece of vellum here, cutting it down to size, and it's basically going to be my window. So you don't need to make a shaker card. You can just make a window, if you will. Glue it down flat, and then you've got your window, and bada bing, bada boom, call it a day. But I'm going to make a shaker here because I'm trying not to be lazy in this particular moment in time. So here's that nostalgic stamp set that I've been using with the deer and stuff. It also has all these images in it, and these are trees that I already stamped, but I forgot to put the trunk and the little like tree box, we're going to call it, the little box. I actually have one of these on my Christmas tree, but I forgot to put that in there, so that's why I'm including this in the video. So I got to stamp that in there real quick. And I find with dies and stamps like this, when you build on them, it's easier to go ahead and die cut them and then add the little stamped images like the box and the trunk versus trying to stamp it and then die cut it or whatever. All right, so again, you can leave this as it is. You don't need to make it a shaker card. I'm creating a little window scene. You can put your stamps in front of the vellum or behind. I'm going with behind because I want that softened look for all the cards I'm making today. And I'm just gluing them down. This is my favorite glue ever. It's Barely Art glue. I get asked about it all the time. It's the same bottle I've had for years. Here's all these backgrounds that I make over the years, and I just kind of pull from that. It makes card making really fast because I've already got these backgrounds. I'm just choosing from what I've already made. And here I am making my shaker card. So this is double-sided foam tape. I find the best deal to get double-sided foam tape is off of Amazon. This roll comes, it's as big as my head, and it's inexpensive, and a roll lasts half a year at least, if not more, depending on how much you use your foam. But it comes in a big, huge roll, as big as my head, and I got a big head. So you can go ahead and cut it down the middle if you saw me do that, because I need to make it thinner. And I'm actually doubling it up because I really want my sequins to be able to move around. So as you can see, there I am cutting it down the middle. I'm also elongating the use of my foam here. And then that's done. So I've got a nice little wall for my shaker bits to sit in. I'm using these shaker bits from Catherine Pooler. I'm just dumping them in there. I don't go heavy-handed on the sequins because you want to have room for them to move around. And then I'll take that panel, that background panel there I chose from all of the pre-backgrounds I've already made over the years that I keep filed away, and I've just created this little fun shaker. So again, You can glue it down flat and have no shaker and no bits in it, and that's perfectly fine too. I still think that's a very cool look with the vellum window, because we tend to always use clear plastic when we create window cards or shakers, but I think vellum is prettier, so there you go. So here's this card. You just glue it down to a card base. I found this Merry Christmas in my magic mug. I have no idea where it came from. I also do a lot of die cutting at one sitting to create my magic mugs, to make actual card making a breeze and low stress, because I'm basically choosing from what I have in my mug. If I can find this, I will link it. But anyway, there you go. Here's a little card right there. Vellum, baby. Vellum. And what I didn't know you could use on vellum is alcohol inks. Or you can use if you have alcohol markers, you can use the refills from your alcohol markers. This is again, I am using 40-pound vellum. I can't emphasize this enough. I don't know if you'll get the same look with thinner vellum. You probably won't. It'll probably all crinkle up. But anyway, I just dumped some alcohol ink on there. I've got this little felt dauber with some alcohol in it. I'm just moving it around. I also have a spray bottle with just regular alcohol you get from the store. And because I'm using thick vellum, I'm able to heat. I still have to move my heat gun around. I can't leave my heat gun in the same spot for long, or it will warp like badly because it's vellum. But I didn't have any problems in this instance because I just moved it around a lot. So I'm just creating just 2 different colors. That's it. And I've got the spray bottle with the alcohol in it, and that's it. I just messed around with it until I liked how it looked, and I like how this looks, so I'm ready to move on. Vellum is translucent, which is another cool feature about vellum. So it'll pull up the background that you use. So if you're using a busy background or a solid background, I now have this pink overlay in the background of that card because I used pink cardstock. So another reason why I love vellum. This die was also in my magic mug, so I went ahead and inked it up with Versamark ink, sticky ink, and I'm sprinkling on some sparkle black embossing powder to create this, almost made it look like an embellishment here. It thickens it up, and it also really pops against that alcohol ink background because it's a really, really deep black, but it has some sparkle in it. And I just grabbed some washi tape out of my stash just to tie this whole card panel together. So I just really adore vellum. I love the look of it. I love that it's translucent, so you can see through it, so you can pull in colored cardstock or backgrounds that you've made or backgrounds you're making, or if you make an ugly background and you want to just soften up the colors. Sometimes it's just as simple as making the color softer, and vellum really does that. You can color vellum. So you can, create custom colored vellum. You don't need to go buy colored vellum. Just create your own with markers, inks, whatever. So I hope this has inspired you to pull out your vellum and use it and create cards. And if there's any other vellum techniques that you have, I want you to tell me in the comments below, because I'm always, looking for new things to do. And if you have any video requests from me that you want to see on my channel, also please include that in the comments, because I read every single comment. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you. Oh, I have a video actually coming out next week. That's a lot for me. 2 videos in like a 2-week time span. Holy cow. So I will see you then.